Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to East Central Missouri and the world, and welcome to the James Strong Show podcast number 253. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making us a part of your day. I appreciate it. This podcast was recorded on the afternoon of Wednesday, February the 2nd, from the James Strong studio in western St. Charles County. Lots of snow in this part of the country right now, so They shut the day job down. So I'm here, and I had an opportunity to do a podcast with a fellow who I've known him since the KLPW days. He's a car enthusiast just like me, and I thought if there's anybody I'd like to talk cars with, it's this guy. Kevin Hawkins, welcome to the James Strong Show.
Good afternoon, James. Good to be with you.
You had mentioned, we've got a bunch of snow here. Here in western St. Charles County, I've shoveled 3 times already now, and we probably have anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of snow out here. How much do you have? And
oh no, we just have a slight covering of sleet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no snow. Yeah.
Okay. And where are you located?
DeSoto.
Okay.
DeSoto, Missouri.
Okay, which is probably about 50 miles southeast of here, as the crow flies.
Yeah. As the crow flies, probably.
Yeah, as the twisty, windy roads go, quite a bit more than that.
Yeah.
But hey, 2 reasons I wanted to talk to you. First of all, a big chunk of my life for the past year and a half or so have been taken up with this restoration of the Jaguar Mark 7. 1951 Jaguar Mark 7. That was my father's and now mine, and we're in the process of bringing it back to life. But I've always loved cars. I've wanted to do a podcast for a long time with another car enthusiast, and you're that guy. And I thought, you know what? If anybody would want to talk cars, it might be Kevin.
You bet.
So you and I are about the same age, and I guess, how long have you been interested in super duper double deluxe, turn your head, make you smile, different from the norm automobiles?
Well, of course, from my childhood, once in a while you get a glimpse of Richard Petty running the NASCAR cars. You had dreams and aspirations, and as you become adult and the monetary funds allow it, you try to progress in making those dreams come true. And the way I work, I traveled for a living, and I drove pickup trucks all the time. But when Chrysler came back out with the new generation of the Challengers, I thought, that's me. It's time to try something like that. And of course, I've been around them a lot, down through the years.
Mm-hmm.
But when they came out with that new Hemi Challenger, I said, "That's me. I'm gonna put my money on something that I can drive and turn heads with."
So, when did you buy this Challenger?
You say when?
Yes.
The second year, 2009.
Okay.
The first year were strictly number plated cars, collector edition cars, and they were spoken for really before they were manufactured. So I bought a 2009 SRT8, and at that time it had the larger Hemi engine in it, and I was just astounded by the good things that the public had to say and the heads that were turning, watching. And, of course, I didn't do anything crazy with the car, but I found out what it was capable of doing. and I thought, there's more there's more to come of this, as things progressed. The horsepower race was on again, as it was in the late 60s and the 70s.
Well, you mentioned the Challenger. Now, because they came out with the Charger first, right? The new generation. And
correct.
When I saw that Charger, I thought, wow, I like that a lot. That's a good looking car. I'm glad they did that. But then they came out with the Challenger. And to me, there was no comparison. The Challenger was heads and shoulders above the Charger to me.
And the cool thing about them, not the Chevy so much, but Ford stayed with what made the Mustang famous, the looks. And Chrysler did the same thing with the Challenger. You could look at it and tell that was the old school Challenger.
Yeah, the square, boxy front end, back end was just like the old one.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And, of course, now the Camaro is nothing to sneeze at either.
No.
It's very, very popular and very nice automobile. But, again, it goes back to seeing Richard Petty with those Chrysler cars. You know, I thought that's where it is. And I'd always heard that they were more or less made to perform as you drove them off the showroom floor instead of having to dump a bunch of money into them to get them to perform with the rest of them. And time being what it was, and I'm not a trained mechanic of any type, that's what I chose.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, what would be the proper word? I was really surprised and amazed at the performance. And you know, it's not a small car by any means. Imagine it's a large car,
mm-hmm.
Heavy and boxy, and kind of wallows in the curves a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I had been around the Vipers quite a bit, but I had never actually thought about buying one. But after seeing what that Hemi would do in that Challenger, I thought, I want to try something on this just a little bit different.
And so you bought the Challenger, you were hooked on the Challenger, you loved the Challenger, but then you thought, what does Chrysler offer that's better than the Challenger? Yes.
And the fact that we're all unique in our own special way.
Sure.
And if there ever was anyone that was different than the norm, it's me. and I wanted that Viper. And the first thing you hear, and I still get it, when you stop and they would ask what it was. The kids all know what it is, but
sure.
The adults, a lot of them don't. First thing they would say, are you a doctor or are you a lawyer or something? And it just so happened at the time my dentist had the same last name as mine.
Okay.
And I kept getting these questions every place we went. So I told him a plan that I had hatched out, and he agreed with it. I took some of his business cards. And so when people would start asking me that, just strangers, I would say, I'm a dentist, and here's my business card. And I was passing his dentist card, maybe drumming up business for him, but it kept the questions away from me, where I didn't have to answer those awkward questions.
Well, now let's, before we talk more about the Viper, let's get back just a little bit to the Challenger.
Sure.
What size engine? Because that SRT was the first of the big muscle car, return of the muscle car engines for Chrysler. How big was that engine?
Oh, that was the 6.1 Hemi.
Okay.
And I'm thinking it's around 375 cubic inches in that area.
Mm-hmm.
The standard Hemi is 5.7, and that's about 345 cubic inches.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole SRT program, of course, they had the Neon. They had an SRT. It was an SRT4.
Mm-hmm.
The Neon was, and it was turbocharged and everything. That was a running little rascal also.
Now was the Challenger turbocharged as well?
No.
It was just naturally aspirated.
Naturally aspirated.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just and they could have got much more out of it, but the tradition, everyone thinks of the elephant engine, the 426 Hemi, and the 6.1, the way they're built nowadays, was capable of much more horsepower, but they detuned it as a tribute to the 426. It was limited to 425 horses. and that's what the standard 426 was 425 horses.
That's still a lot of horsepower, man.
Well, at that time, yes, but everything has kind of made it a relic now, an antique.
Well, then after the SRT, they came out with another rendition of the big monster Challenger Charger engine. And what was that?
Well, the one right after that, they came out with a 6.4,
Mm-hmm.
which was naturally aspirated, which has its lineage back to the, let's see, it would be the second version, second generation, no, the first generation Hemi, 392.
Hey, let me back off just a little bit. We're using some terms that some people may be unfamiliar with. Naturally aspirated means the engine sucks in its own fuel-air mixture. So if you have a 400 cubic inch engine, a naturally aspirated engine is probably getting 80% efficiency. You throw a turbocharger onto that thing, and it's no longer naturally aspirated. The fuel air mixture, the air is forced into the chamber. A supercharger, even more so. So naturally aspirated is without a turbocharger and without a supercharger, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
It's what's most commonly known, and that's what the 6.4 Hemi was.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they it came out primarily for the Challenger, but they needed something in their trucks with a little more grunt and a little more economically friendlier than the expensive diesel engine they put in the heavy duty trucks. So they started putting a detuned version of the 6.4 in the heavy duty trucks. And then after that is when I guess you could say that the balloon popped. They started coming out with the Hellcat engine and the different body compositions that encompasses that, and it's like something that I had never seen.
Well, the Hellcat that's over 1,000 horsepower, is it not?
No.
Which one am I thinking of?
It's 800. Let's see. You got the red eye version. It's 800 and some horses. I think the original Hellcat was right around 800, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the material in front of me at the moment, but it was in that area. Yeah. But they had another one. Oh, my goodness. Wasn't the Magnum. The Demon.
Yeah, the Demon, right.
Yeah, now it may have been pushing 1,000. I'm not certain about that, but they had all kinds of, they had the blower supercharger and the turbochargers, and they had a special thing that somehow the air conditioning system actually manipulated its way through there to help keep the engine cool.
Really?
Yes, and you would get 2 key fobs with them. One key fob was for regular driving. Then the second key fob was to wake it up so it would really run. And the first one they sold, the guy, he didn't hardly get it off the lot until he had totaled it. And the engine and everything, what was left of it, brought more than what he paid for the car.
Really?
Just getting a hold of that engine. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And, well, the very first one was auctioned off for charity.
Okay.
That's a big thing with Chrysler. The first of any new vehicle like that that's going to grab attention, they auction it off for charity. But the first one sold to public, the guy wiped it out. Poor luck on his side.
So time went by. You drove your Challenger. You liked it, but then you had to scratch the itch once again, and so you looked at the Viper. Absolutely.
I had been around them somewhat. I've known people that have them and race them, and this last generation, the 5th generation, I believe it was from 2012 to 2017, and much better, much user-friendly, The first ones are really crude. They were engine, transmission,